We have the biggest tendency to see negative emotions and negative situations as our enemies. But what if I told you that they're actually helpers in disguise? Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Fernando and welcome to my channel, and in today's video we're talking transmutation. This is a very common word used in the spiritual community, and this is about alchemy. And so maybe you have a pretty fair idea of what transmutation and alchemy is. Maybe you hear it, you sort of understand what people are talking about, but you're not really sure. So either way, I'm here to help you. I'm here to walk you through what the process of transmutation really is and how it can literally help you create heaven on earth. Because negative emotions are like big traps that we keep falling into, thinking that they're our enemies, when in fact they are guides leading us back to the light. Okay, and so if this resonates with you, then this video is definitely for you. We're also tapping into principles of soul planning, like pre-birth planning, and how our souls pick the adversities we're going to go through for growth, for transmutation, so that we can grow and expand and transmute the darkness back to light. And literally, this is what we're doing here. You are not a person, you are not a body, you are not your conscious mind. You are an infinite, eternal spiritual being having a temporary, limited, finite human experience. And so as the souls that we are, eternal, infinite, limitless sparks of light that we are, we choose to come to this plane here, the third dimensional plane, for growth and transmutation. Because in spirit, all we have is the oneness. So it's love, it's light, it's peace, it's unconditional love, compassion. That's what our true nature is really all about. And that's what the spirit world is really all about. And so when we choose to come to earth, we choose to come here to experience the opposite of oneness, meaning duality, meaning polarity. So here we can experience love, but we can also experience its opposite. For example, hate. Abundance, which is our true nature, which we can experience here, but then we also experience lack. And the experience of polarity and duality is very expensive for the soul. It literally makes us grow exponentially. So much noise going on right now. Okay. So in spirit, can you hear that? In spirit, it's like quiet, and divine sounds. And then we come here and it's like quiet and divine sounds, but also noise, right? Isn't that interesting? Let's transmute this noise back to light. Bear with me, guys. All right, so that's what we're doing here, right? That's literally what we're doing here. And I'm gonna walk you through the process of transmutation and how it happens and how you can do it in your life. But first, I'm going to quote something from the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, okay? Do you know Eckhart Tolle? You probably do. Okay, so he says in the book, through sustained attention and thus acceptance, there comes transmutation. The pain body becomes transformed into radiant consciousness. Just as a piece of wood, when placed in or near a fire, itself is transformed into fire. So this is the key point in the video here, okay guys? How do we transmute anything? How do we transmute the negativity back to light, the darkness back to light? Through sustained attention and acceptance and presence, okay? Which is literally what we have over here. Transmutation, awareness, presence, non-reaction, remaining as the light. You are the light, okay? I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but you're literally the light. You are so powerful. You are so powerful, you can literally manifest being the opposite of light, darkness, and you can create the experience of darkness and suffering and non-transmutation because you are that powerful. So before we get right into this, I'm going to read a few passages from another book, Your Soul's Gift by Robert Schwartz. And I have 3 passages here for you. The first one says, profound healing occurs in the moment in which negative emotion is felt but not acted upon, meaning non-reaction, right? So we're living life, we're going about our day, and then something negative happens and we're feeling the emotion. It's a negative emotion. By the way, emotion means energy in motion. So this energy is passing through your body and you're feeling it, right? And then let this represent a negative emotion here. You see it's jagged, it's distorted, it's non-harmonious, right? So this energy is in your field. And then that's the trap I was referring to before. Like we have this huge tendency to just keep falling in the trap, right? So we feel this. What do? We resist. We act upon it. We engage with it. We become it because we think that's what we are, right? The feeling of anger is in your field. It takes over you. It's like you become it. The association we have with that is so much that literally that's the feeling we have, that we are the emotion, but that's not the case. You are not the emotion, okay? And so when we do that, we're amplifying it. We are magnifying it, meaning we're not transmuting anything. There's no transformation. And so nothing changes. And then days go by and then something else happens and the same emotion is brought about yet again. And we're wondering, like, why is this happening to me again? Transmutation is your way out of hell. Just like Ho'oponopono, because Ho'oponopono, do you like Ho'oponopono? Something tells me you do, right? The ancient Hawaiian technique for healing, for transmutation. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Something weird happens, you begin doing Ho'oponopono, you begin cleaning on those memories that are causing the weirdness, right? That's transmutation because you're not engaging with it, you're not becoming it. You're just shining your light over the negativity. And when you do that, things change because you're not magnifying it. You're not engaging with it, right? You're using your fire of transmutation to change, to transmute the darkness back to light, right? So let's go back to soul planning. The second passage here from the book that I picked is, in at least some of my past lives, this is the author speaking, I was unable to love myself. Because we as souls learn through opposites, polarity, right? You are love. But if you stay in spirit and you remain as love all the time, it's like, how do you know that you're love if you don't know what hate is? Right? So that's why we come here. So because we as souls learn through opposites, my soul chose for me to cultivate self-love by having an abusive mother. So the author's mother was very abusive, and he had a sort of like a traumatic experience growing up. And then he shares in the book that in a past life, his mother was his son, and he was the boy's mother. So they reversed roles, right? And she made some decisions that led them to be impoverished. And so His son in the other life, he felt very angry about that because they became impoverished. And so his soul chose to incarnate this time around with his previous son now being his mother, and now he is the son, right? Hopefully this is clear enough. And so they decided to reverse that so that the mother had a chance to deal with the anger for transmutation, right? Isn't that interesting? When we look at it and it's like, oh my gosh, a mother that's abusive to the kid, it's like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. But ultimately, we don't know what the soul plan is. And so what is the way out? We might not know what's going on a conscious level regarding soul plans, but we do have the way out. The option of creating heaven on earth and transmuting all the craziness. Okay, what is it? Remaining as the light. Being compassionate, understanding, and not engaging with the negativity because we are so powerful. We're too powerful. When we do that, we amplify it. That's why you're not encouraged to talk about the things you don't like. And this is the habit that has been plaguing humanity for so long because everybody's conditioned to speak about what they don't like. But you're energy and everything is energy. So when you give your attention to the things you don't like, guess what? You're making it bigger. And then your physical body dies, you're back, in spirit, and you're like, oh, man, I didn't do a good job, did I? Let's try this again. And then you switch roles around and you just try it again. So the time is now. If you're watching this video, you are awakening. You are on a path. So this is your chance. I'm filming this video to help you along your path. Meaning, when an emotion comes and is trying to take you over, transmutation. The third and last passage from the book. Often our souls forge life plans that are intended to get our attention, to put our issues front and center where we simply cannot ignore them. My mother's apparent lack of love mirrored to and for me my own lack of self-love. My soul intended to motivate and even force me to learn to love myself through the seeming lack of love from my mother. Isn't that beautiful? My former partner, I've shared this before, he was able to reflect back to me quite a few interesting things that I used for my growth because that's what we agreed before incarnating. And I am so grateful to be able to realize this in physical form. It was hard to swallow, okay? I'm not gonna lie. I was like, and this was prior to my spiritual awakening. So I was fast asleep in the game, right? And so we make these plans, and when we see stuff that's like, oh, that's negative, he's criticizing me, I'm the victim, how dare he? But when we take advantage of these opportunities, everything changes. So let's get to the transmutation process and how it works. So transmutation is associated with alchemy, right? Like traditional alchemy. So the process is this. You have the raw material, for instance, lead, and then you have the transmutation process leading us to gold. So the transformation of the raw material. Eckhart Tolle in his book was talking about the piece of wood when it's placed in the fire and it transforms, right? Alchemy, transmutation. Now we're talking about spiritual alchemy, the energy, the emotions. So our raw material here is an emotion. For example, anger. So anger might look like this, right? And if we engage with it, if we act it out, we're not transmuting, we're not changing anything. What are we doing? Amplifying it. But to transmute that emotion, you get to remain as who you are. Who are you? You're the light. Who are you? You're literally love itself. You are awareness. You are presence. So when you remain as you are before the challenging situation, the fire of transformation, transmutation, awareness, presence. So anger is here. You remain as who you are. You allow that emotion to be. You're not engaging with it. You're not identifying with it. But you're also not suppressing it. You're not pushing it out. You're allowing it to be as you remain as who you are. And then as you do that, transmutation occurs because everything is energy, right? And we know that energy cannot be created or destroyed, right? Right. It can only go, change forms, go from one form to another. So you transform, you change its form, right? So that's what we're doing here. We have anger, looks horrible, right? And then you remain as who you are, allow it to be the love, and then you raise its vibratory frequency. You raise the frequency of that emotion by being who you are, the light. And so you go back to the opposite. It's a spectrum, right? Anger and love, it's one spectrum. This is the principle of polarity from Hermeticism, the Kabbalion, the Hermetic philosophy, right? Polarity. It's one spectrum, like hot and cold. Where does hot end and cold begin? It's a spectrum, right? And so that's what we experience on Earth, the full spectrum. And so you're feeling anger, remain as who you are, and then you have love and peace, right? Resentment. Oh, you're feeling this resentment towards someone who, did something to you and you hated it. Remain as who you are. Allow it to be. You are not that emotion. I love you. I love you. I love you. Ho'oponopono. Throw Ho'oponopono in there and just remain who you are. Love your enemies. Love the negative emotion. Love the extra fat. Love the disease. Dr. Hugh Land from Ho'oponopono, that's what he said to us. Love everything. Not only the things you love, but the things you don't love too. Because when you do that, you are transmuting it back to light. Right? You are so powerful. Your presence, your awareness, your acceptance is too powerful. You are all the power. There's no out there. You are not the victim. You are all the power. So when you finally understand this and live by this, everything changes. Because even though weird, negative situations might present themselves to us, and this will keep happening, okay? I mean, it's a journey. Life is a journey here. Healing is a journey. So, but the thing is, you just get better at it, remaining as the light. And then your life becomes more and more peaceful, more and more enjoyable. And guess what? When you're back in spirit, it's like, wow, I did amazing. So you advanced so much, right? Beautiful. And so the transmutation process, again, the base emotion here, a negative emotion, the fire of awareness, neutrality, you're not engaging with it. And then that leads to refined energy. You're refining energy when you're transmuting it. You take the raw material, frustration, allow it to be the light, love that situation no matter what, so that it becomes satisfaction, wholeness, right? So you're refining that raw material. You are an alchemist. Like it or not, sorry to burst your bubble, but you're a divine alchemist. And you're here to remember that. And when you remember that in the video game, oh boy, That's why we come here. How fascinating, right? Recently, I got a comment in a video I posted where I was talking about something similar, like loving everything and everyone, even if they're like criticizing you. And the comment was asking me, well, but if I really don't love that person, wouldn't I be faking it by like pretending to love or loving that person that I don't like? And I replied to that comment, and that's what I said. It's like, think of it in terms of love thy enemy, right? Like Dr. Hugh Lance said, love the extra fat, love the problem, love your enemy, love the disease, because that's how we transmute it. If we're like, okay, no, I just give my love to people who deserve it. That's the third dimensional, ego-based character, the ego, right? Running the show. The ego wants us to be here, okay? The ego thrives here. And so if we're resorting back to thoughts of, no, but I don't love that person, I'll be faking it, then we're choosing, maybe on an unconscious level, to remain asleep in the game. This whole thing transcends the ego game, all right? And so if we don't transcend the ego, then we're just doing more of the same. And remember, we're not here to kill the ego, because the ego is part of the experience. We're not here to destroy it. It's about transcending it. Hearing its voice, but not identifying with it, right? So, just to clarify and to make it very clear, transmutation is not about suppressing, and it's not about acting out on the raw material. It's about refining it via the fire of transmutation that is you, your presence, your awareness. Growing up, I had a hard time interacting with my dad. We always loved each other, but I felt he didn't believe me. I felt he didn't think I was really worthy. That's the feeling I had. And I grew up with the biggest sense of unworthiness, the biggest sense of lack. And so my soul picked all of this, like the family, how my dad was going to see me and perceive me, and what he would reflect back to me. So the challenge is your guide. And I have been able to transmute so much when it comes to my dad, because I choose to see all of his strengths and how he deals with his emotions, you know? So I send my dad love so much today. The strange feelings I used to feel about him are no longer present. Does that mean I'm completely healed? No. Does that mean my relationship with my dad is 100% perfect? No. Recently I had an interaction with him that sort of triggered me, and I didn't see it coming. I was like, oh my gosh, this is sort of happening, but I did my best to remain as the light, and I cleaned on it for days after that. You know, and I was like, thank you so much for this one more opportunity for me to clean on, because everything is a reflection. And let me give you a lifeline for when a negative situation presents itself to you, okay? Because when this happens, oh my gosh, the trap, right? It's so easy for us to fall into that because of social conditioning, right? So when you see a negative situation presenting itself to you and you're like, oh my gosh, and you think transmutation, you get to ask yourself, isn't that interesting? Stop everything and ask yourself, isn't this interesting? Do you know why? Because this question alone gets you to a place of neutrality immediately. Try it out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. It's very powerful. So yeah, it'll help you to not fall into the trap and to stay neutral and to remain as the light so that you can transmute that negativity back to light. Okay? So what is a raw material that you can identify within yourself? Let me know in the comments. Let the people know in the comments. Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it resentment? Right? Everything is a lesson. You can also ask yourself, what is the lesson in this? As soon as something strange happens, what is the lesson in this? Because everything is a lesson. And everything is providing you with the opportunity for transmutation. Everything. And it doesn't feel great, okay? That's the thing. It doesn't feel fabulous when you're faced with that. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, because ultimately it's not. It's something that's trying to guide you back to the light. So if you remain as the light, presence, awareness, everything changes. And don't forget, Ho'oponopono is such a lifesaver. I use it every single day and I love it. If you have not watched my videos on Ho'oponopono, I have a whole playlist just on it. I would encourage you to check it out. So I'm going to go ahead and link it so you can go check it out